You wanna call them?
Yeah, in the absence of our chairperson of the select board, who will be in shortly, and our vice chair who's home with a bad cold, which she'll be zooming in. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, so we can get moving right along with first order of business. So Lorna, you want to get us started?
Sure, so in your packet, Penny and Mary spent a good part of the day Friday and went through the budget documents and put together information on items that were higher than what was spent. So what we were asking for that 6-month budget coming up, what was actually spent this year during that 6-month period, same period. So if you look at those first 3 pages, that gives you all of that information. I think we came fairly close to the difference of 700,000. Did you add up what we came up with? Penny?
No, it comes to
680 something.
Yeah.
Thousand, yeah, right.
So,
General government.
You can start with general government. Really, all the meeting for tonight is for you all to go through each department, take a look at things. Is there anything you want to change? Now's the time to do it. And then once you're satisfied with each department, at the end of the meeting, you could make a motion and vote to either amend, which we would have done through this process, or to approve and to work on warrant articles for you to take upcoming select board meeting.
So is it easiest to work off these first 3 pages?
I think so, because those are the biggest differences from what we're asking for and what was spent.
For those folks who don't have a packet, could you just tell us, describe what the 3 pages are so we know where the right things?
What? I'm sorry.
The first 3 pages.
I'm sorry.
Which 3 pages are we talking?
The first 3 pages.
These 3 pages.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So if you wanna start in general government, wages,
Wait a minute, we
Wait a minute.
don't find them in ours.
Oh, this.
you should have that in the front.
Front of your binder. No? Oh, this? No.
No,
No.
no,
That's your agenda for the
that happens, right?
What else is on
So it's at the very.
It's a very, very beginning.
I would just make like maybe
Okay.
5 of them, Mary.
Is this just the whole with revisions?
Those are previous meetings, we kept them in case you wanted them. If you don't want them, when you close your binder tonight, just set them aside and roll.
Okay.
That was a totally different. So any of these descriptions come up to close to that.
Where are you looking? Here. Oh, so all of this comes up to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rounded. Yeah, I didn't put everything on there, it was on fast.
I'm just gonna stop the video just for now. For everybody in Zoom land, we're just making a few photocopies for some of the folks that are here in person, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, so everybody has those 3 pages now, right? So if you look at general government, the largest discrepancies on the 26 budget and what was actually spent in 25 for the same time period for wages. We had unfilled positions within the first 3 months of 25. So we had deputy clerk and treasurer positions open. So we weren't paying wages, taxes, PFML, no health insurance, no retirement. We also show a 3% wage increase for 2026, 9% health insurance increase, 5% dental increase. And then, just as a note, all full-time year-round positions are budgeted for both state retirement and health insurance. Someone could decide during the year they want to take those, maybe they don't, in January, but they want to do it in March and for the remainder of the year. Or maybe someone gets done and we bring in a new employee and they want to participate. So we need to fund those, line items so that they're
Possibilities.
available, right? Professional, that category, we did not have all of the billing in for the 2024 audit. So if you remember, that audit was late coming in this year. We paid a little bit during that first 6 months, but then the last billings came in after that.
It says 2025 audit. but
Yeah,
it's
well, it came here in 25, but it was the 24 audit.
2024.
And, yeah, go ahead.
So are we gonna need to pay the 17,000 for,
That will be the 2025 audit.
so it would,
During
that will
that
be that
first-
first 6 months?
That will be in that first
Okay.
6 months.
Yeah, thank you.
We also had annual contract increases, like, if you look down below where IT services, we did reduce, legal fees. So IT and auditing, I think, fall under that line.
Yeah.
For contracted
Assessing.
services. Underneath that, you have licenses, so Harris and our website, so Trio, we had a pretty good increase. Our website, if you remember when we set up the GIS mapping and added that to our website, we used ARPA funds for a couple of years. So next year, we need to fully fund the GIS map portion. We also have almost double, it's just about double the cost for our website because they've upgraded. We're part of a group of customers with Civic Plus that the platform we originally got set up under several years ago is no longer going to be available. So they're upgrading all of those accounts, which means it's going to cost more. There are some things that are beneficial to it. The federal government is requiring us to be compliant for ADA on our website. Meaning if people are colorblind or they can't navigate things well, this is going to bring us into compliance automatically. And it really has some useful tools for people who may have a difficult time navigating or being able to look at a screen computer website. So it's really kind of neat. The manager wages, that's a contract renewal. There was a discrepancy of like $1,750 in what we budgeted for the first 6 months this year versus what we will be actually paying in the first 6 months for 26, but that's a contract. It is what it is. Code enforcement, we budget for 36 hours a week. Hans he's usually fluctuating with his hours for the most part. And he really, if he's got a lot going on, he'll put in those extra hours. He may be more than 36. Other weeks, he may be fewer than 36, but we budget for the full 36. In the event he does work all of those. And he also has that 3% wage increase and applicable taxes. Elections, the budget reflects 2 town meetings. So we'll have a town meeting in January. We'll also have a town meeting in June. So those costs are going to be higher. And equipment, we're looking at a new voting machine. We have one. We're going to be super busy because we've got primary and some big elections next year. It would be super helpful to us to have that extra machine. If we need to rent the machine, it's $2,000 each time we rent it. So by the time you've done it for 2 or 3 elections, you could have purchased one that would actually be ours, so you're not riding down the road and throwing money out the window. Yep.
I'm sorry, one first.
Okay, so go back on to the wages on the general government, the $60,000, was that what was incurred the first 6 months or?
No, we didn't, we were below, one half of the 6-month budget by 60,000. This year, because we had open position for deputy clerk, we also had open position for treasurer. So we weren't paying wages, we weren't paying taxes, no retirement, no health insurance, no PFML for 2 positions for a period of time.
So so you're saying we were $60,000 short the first 6 months?
We did not spend that additional 60,000 because we didn't have the positions filled in order to expend those monies. Does that make?
Are you trying to explain actuals to, it was 60,000 off, is what I think, is that what you're trying to say?
Right,
Yeah.
so if.
The actuals were 60,000.
So if we budgeted 50,000, but we only spent 25, that's why,
So of course, I'm going back to our budget.
Yes.
We went through with budgeting,
yes.
so, and I can't remember what the month date was on this. So I'm looking at 2025 6-month expense, I go down through, it shows full-time payroll, $99,023.33. So I'm getting very confused here.
Well. Okay, yeah, but what's actual?
The actual was 99,000.
That's why I'm getting
So what was
confused.
budgeted?
But the difference between wages, tax, retirement, overtime, PFML, health insurance, all of that is a total of 60,000. So you had an open position of deputy clerk and you had an open position of treasurer that weren't funded.
So,
So that 99,000 would have been higher. Plus you have a 3% wage increase, plus you have 9% health and 5% dental included in that.
that's
That's what we spend,
so,
we gotta cover it.
right, but you're still not gonna cover the 60,000. Yeah, you got nine, if indeed,
You've got 2 positions that weren't funded.
Right.
That's wages, taxes, retirement,
Right.
health insurance, plus this year,
Which
this
is-
next year, you've
right,
got a 3% wage increase in the 60,000. You've got a 9% increase in health in that 60,000. You have a 5% increase in dental in that 60,000.
but what I'm stating is. You're saying that it's $99,023 plus 60,000, correct? No,
The budget this year, no, because the 60,000 covers all of personnel.
But
Wages.
I had to
If
figure it
you
out
think of
myself too. I was
Wages,
confused when I-
you got wages, taxes, health insurance, you've got retirement, you have PFML.
So
correct,
maybe that
99,000.
wages should say personnel,
The
Yes.
99,000.
so it's not just the wage piece, it's all the other pieces. included.
99 is just wages.
I know what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
got
get it, but
doing-
99 is just wages. You gotta add in retirement, you gotta
Well,
add in health insurance, you
I
gotta.
mean,
add all
this
that.
is all public information and this is very here I've been at this budgeting now for a couple months and this is very confusing.
I figured it on mine. and-
No, but I'm just saying,
You
it's
took
the
your
first
budget
easy
for, the wages budgeted for a year, you cut it in half.
Right,
He's gonna be $60,000 over the actual. Is what I think.
The personnel section, which
Correct.
includes wages, retirement, all.
There's a
everything.
position
So
before.
he's trying to
Because of
explain
the-
why
the
you should
point.
spend all that money. And that's the
Does that
Do
make
you wanna
sense?
change that to personnel instead of on that
Yes.
spreadsheet?
yeah, probably
change
should,
it, yeah.
yeah.
I think you could call it personnel instead
Yeah,
of wages.
instead of wages.
I'm actually curious if we could step back a little bit even more, if you guys could explain, because I just don't know that I understand the headings and what they mean compared to the numbers, and I just wanna make sure I'm understanding them.
What headings?
So on the top of the chart, so department and then 2025 budget.
So 2025 budget is a 12-month budget.
Okay, so this is the 12 month.
And then 2025 6 months budget, that doesn't show there.
Okay.
actual is the 321, the request is 429. What is the difference between the actual expense and what we're asking for? And so that is for all of general
That's
government.
what I was trying to tell you.
Now I got it.
Okay.
Now it makes sense, thank you.
That is for all of general government, and so underneath, inside general government, if you look at this, hey Dan, if you look at this section here, yeah, right? So what we just went through, all of those bullet points, those actually have the explanations of anything like more than 1,000 or 1,500. Difference of what we're asking, what we actually spent.
So that all makes good sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious how we get up to 108 though, just so that I make sure I'm understanding.
Because that's, if you go through the actual budget document,
You take the request and
so
subtract it.
if you go through all of these pages for general government, the very last column, expense, what's this request? That should add up to 108,000.
Part of it's a question too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's a 108, 320 or
Well,
something.
they've rounded it, but 108, you know,
Okay.
they've just rounded instead of
Okay,
$2,082, they just
Barbara.
2,000.
So is that for an annual expense versus request?
That's just the 6-month budget
6 months.
between it's a
Sorry.
6 month, we're on a 6 month.
Okay.
budget. Barbara, go ahead.
All right, Barbara now has a question. Barbara, go.
Thank you. What I found helpful was since there wasn't the 2025 budget figure is for the full year, and we weren't given when it says 2025 6 months, I just divided the 25 budget by half, in half. And so then it's easier to compare. And I'm assuming that the actual is for the first 6 months, the actual of the first 6 months. Is that right, Lorna?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And so that way, if you, because then you're comparing the actual of 321 to the 382, and that's where you get the 61,000 difference.
Right.
But without that, you don't have that reference point because we weren't given that figure of the one half of the 2025 budget. But that was easy enough to do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll update the budget file on our website so the public has that. Thank you.
Well, basically, the last column is the difference between the previous two.
I'm sorry, what are you looking at
So
there?
actuals, right, I say only A for actuals,
She just wants to know. if
and
it's
then
different.
request, you say use R. The last column is expenses versus request is R minus A.
Yes.
Yeah,
Then the request should be half of the 2025 budget.
No,
You
yeah,
can't,
that's
just
just-
go straight
Can't
down
do
and
that.
say half because
It makes-
most of our departments we don't
I
spend
wanted
that
to
way.
confirm that, because that's what I understood from Mrs. Allen.
No,
So
No,
it's not.
no, that's not what.
So why you were half in Mrs. Allen?
no. What I was saying is that the first figure under general government is 764,512. And
Yeah.
so I divided that in half and put that under what would have been projected for the first 6 months of 2025. So that's 382,
Gotcha.
256.
Gotcha.
But the actual turned out to be considerably less than that, as Laura explained, because of unfilled positions.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm not there in person. You don't want to have me in the room with you, believe me.
That's fine. Thank you very much, Barbara.
I just wanted to say, I appreciate that you did this because it's really helpful. A lot of the comments online had to do with percentage increases.
Mhm.
But unless you've been in these nuanced conversations, it's clear
Right.
that a percentage increase isn't a great measure in this moment because of the way you have to manipulate the budget for the switch.
Yes,
And I just wanted to say that out loud for
everybody.
everybody, because that's been talked about online, and it's easy to say, well, cut it in half, and it just doesn't work in real life. So that's why these percentages may not be what you would expect.
You are correct. Thank you very much. Everybody else set, we'll move on to the
Yeah,
next.
but the explanation, they.
Good, I'm glad,
Yeah,
thank you, Bruce, I apologize. It's hard because we've been working on it for so long, and so it just makes some sense to us, and it's hard for us to realize that it's not as clear to everyone else, so I appreciate the questions, it helps us to going forward.
So Laura.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Vote to have them approve
Yeah,
that
we
portion
can, sure.
of the budget.
yeah, does the board wanna take a vote to approve the general government budget
We might as well as we go
as
along.
we go? Sure. Yeah.
I move we approve the general budget. The general government budget as presented.
Second.
Right, any other questions? All those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5.
Budget
And then
committee,
budget, yeah.
Oh, just,
just go
okay.
4, 2 absent. Alright. I don't know how you do that.
No.
No, right now you have 4, so you're all here.
4, yeah.
Okay. So public safety, wages, the discrepancy there. The per diem employees, there's a increase in that line because there are more callouts. We're trying to cover more weekends. They also cover days off, sick days, vacations, that sort of thing. And we really tried to we've been moving toward trying to be even more transparent, especially in the personnel section. So you're seeing seasonal, you're seeing volunteers, you're seeing per diem. So that you know exactly what these employees are. They just may be on call fill-ins, they may be folks who just do seasonal work like facilities and recreation. Or a full-time or a part-time or whatever. So here we've got an increase for per diem because we're seeing a higher need for that. We also have the 3% wage increase, the health insurance and dental increases. We are also including EPL, which is earned paid leave for volunteers. That's a state program that we're required to give to employees who are not permanent part-time. Permanent part-time and full-time employees earn vacation or leave, and those who don't qualify for that, they earn paid leave. So an hour for every 40 worked is what they get. So that is an additional cost to the town, but we are required to include that.
So Lorna, on this one, should it say again personnel instead of wages
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
more?
We had this divided, some last year got put together under all wages, we
Yeah.
got volunteers. We
We
have a
did-
per
we did
diem and we have our
have-
full timers,
Yeah,
we
Yeah.
separated it back out this year, so.
I
okay.
think it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
so
easier
we
for
can
you
pull it
all,
out of
too.
there. The only other thing I would add to this is the overtime.
I'll get there.
We don't have it listed, don't have it listed.
We don't, but I'll mention it. So we also have the volunteer wages and you don't see those in the actuals for 2025 because they were paid in July. Should have been paid in June. They will be paid in June in 26, so we've included budget for that.
If they're
Volunteers get paid twice a year. They get paid June and December. So
Oh,
we've
for the public
Yep,
safety.
so we've included that, overtime applies, the increase there applies to our 2 full-time employees who are taking calls after hours. Because they've already worked a 40-hour week, they do get paid overtime. So that line has increased to reflect that. And that's the law, so there's no way around that. Services, we have medical, we added medical counseling and debriefing, super important. And Delta was paid 81 or 82,000 up front. So the balance, because that's what we had budgeted, the balance of the contract, which will take us through June 30 of 26, is 16,200. We do expect that's gonna be a pretty good increase for the June budget, but we don't know that yet. We haven't received anything. That's just to give you a heads up. Equipment. is, that discrepancy, $600, is for equipment in year. Purchases during the first 6 months. Any questions on that budget? Do you wanna take a motion and a vote to approve that one?
Did you have a question, Jerry?
Well, I'm just saying the gear is just because it's hard to do a 6 month actual when we got a yearly budget.
I know.
We always bought our equipment at towards the end of the year, make sure our payroll, everything else was in, so to use these actuals to compare it to what we're asking for. And that's what, that 8,000 with gear, we just wait till after the first, you know, we're buying it now, it got fitted 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's gonna be on this budget. It's all yearly budget, it's not on the 6 month actual.
This is a
we're
super
buying
difficult
one next
budget to put together.
Right, but I know, but that's why the actuals, because it's very confusing, the 6 months actuals to the yearly budget. You
They don't
cannot-
totally reflect the.
Yeah,
Right.
and we're putting, buying more gear, we're trying to reopen everybody this year again, so. But we'll buy them in before June.
Any other questions?
Anyone else?
Motion,
I move we approve the public safety budget as presented. Second.
all those in favor? 4, 5.
Yes, but
She's got a question.
You got a question, Barbara?
No.
That was
she
my
just-
vote.
she was voting. Budget.
Budget committee?
Yeah.
4.
All right. Public Works, I tried to get Jason here, he's away, hunting. I know you haven't had a chance to speak with him about that budget. Did anybody have questions on that? It's quite a bit, lower than it was, but a lot of the, items he requires is summer. So there's not a lot that he expends, the first 6 months.
First 6 months.
Yeah,
That's not plowing,
No.
no,
that's other.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rentals and all of that, that's in, you know, flaggers, all of that stuff, aggregate. He doesn't need much of that. We already did our paving prep. Previously, we got our paving done this year, so nothing there. So there's not a big discrepancy there. It's lower than what your 6 month. If you split it in half would be, if you would like to vote on that budget.
I move we approve the public works budget as presented. Second.
Okay, no questions? All those in favor? 5,
Budget committee? 4.
Cemeteries, not a big discrepancy there, $1,700 difference, between what we're asking for and what the actuals were. Any questions? No?
I move we approve the cemetery budget as presented. Second.
favor? 5,
Budget committee? 4.
Facilities. Let's see, wages or personnel. We've split out the seasonal employees. These folks are hired late spring, early summer. The season is actually June 15 through September 15. This includes 3% wage increase, 9% health insurance, 5% dental. We're also including the earned paid leave for those seasonal employees as required by law. We added the educational line for 2026, so we can have one employee get a CDL license so that they'll be legal with the white truck and then a trailer with equipment on it.
Lorna,
yeah.
would it be helpful to put a note here? I think there's been a little discussion that a CDL license, I know it says work requirements, but maybe a little more like they need to work so many years or pay back. I don't know the work requirement for the public would look at that and say, so if we go out and get someone, we pay 7,000, they get a CDL license, they say, oh, good, goodbye, I'm leaving. And we paid $7,000. So, the attorney, we talked with Ann, who's a personnel attorney, is they have like a contract that says if you leave after 1 year, you have to pay back, I'm making up numbers, $5,000. And if you leave after 2 years, you have to pay back 3,800 because we've invested in them. So it'll be that kind of a work requirement, just so that someone looking online would realize that. Then they go, oh, what happens if they just up and leave?
Right, agreed, yes, we can add
Something for an
Yes.
explanation.
Yeah, Bruce.
And also, it was discussed in a board meeting, on that, you guys are requiring them to. Pass that course, if they don't pass they owe. What it costs for the.
I think it will be coming up with a contract.
We'd have to come up with a
Yeah,
contract. that
A
would be
legal,
approved.
something
Yeah.
legal, but yes, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
Question, how heavy is the trailer that needs to be pulled?
I don't know, but the weight is 26,000 pounds and you've gotta have class A, right?
Yeah.
CDL,
Put some over.
which is, yeah,
The trailer is 26,000 pounds?
no, but with
No,
the
they're
truck,
probably combined.
truck, spoiler and equipment.
Heavy duty truck.
Well, the truck's what, GVW of 19,000? So what are you trying to do, pull a 10,000 pound trailer? You
More,
can pull that with either the F-250 or the existing F-350. So I don't understand the need for a CDL qualified person.
I think it's easier to use the big truck.
I think even
To
with
pull.
the trailer, smaller truck, that will roll around.
it's a big trailer.
It is a big, it's,
When you
yeah,
put a,
it's-
like
when you put a tractor or
Like
a
a
skid
10
steer or
ton, so
something
it's
on
like a
it.
20,000 pound trailer.
Yeah.
Wasn't,
To move the skid steer. That's what Corey told us.
They went to a bigger trailer because they got a good deal, not realizing by buying that trailer, puts us over the legal limit. So now we've got a trailer that we can't pull legally.
Sounds like a odd solution.
Let's see, services, we moved all other departments under facilities, the separate facilities. All of those cleaning supplies, moved those under facilities general. And then we moved fuel from cemeteries to facilities as well. Flowers, we added that line, if you can envision or think of all of our beautiful welcome to Belgrade signs that have the big flower pots. And they're so pretty all summer, so this would help to take care of those and buy the flowers. We have volunteers who do the work to put them in and take care of them all year. So not a big discrepancy for that one, request versus actual. Any other questions?
I move we approve the facility budget as presented. Second.
Those in favor? 5.
Budget committee? 4.
Okay, solid waste. Personnel. Budget, we have 3 part-time employees, 1 full-time employee. So those part-time employees are budgeted for a certain number of hours a week, similar to our code enforcement. So during the first 6 months of this year, I actually added them all up. We had one who was doing 25.47, one who was doing 26 something, and another one who was doing just under 32 average. And we have 2 positions that are 25 hours and 1 position that is 32 hours, up to. So there was a discrepancy on the actual number of hours worked those first 6 months, which you're seeing here. We also have the 3% increase, the health and the dental increases. And then under rentals, we added the excavator rental, which you spoke about at the last meeting. There are some contract increases and we also added in that one-time charge, the 20,000 to get rid of that big brush pile. Between January and June of next year. Any questions on that?
Does the personnel go up at all in the summer or not? If they're
Yes
open an
and
extra
no.
day, they
If
must
you
be
take your
open.
vacation, sometimes we have Wes fill in. Or one of the other guys, from facilities.
So we'll see a little
sometimes.
different number and,
So sometimes you
The
see a
next
little
budget.
bit different, yeah.
yeah. Okay. So. I move we approve the solid waste budget as presented. Second.
It seems like an awful lot of increase to me.
A lot of it is that 20,000 to get rid of that brush pile.
Right.
Alright, all those in favor? 3, 4, 5.
Budget committee? 4.
All right, the insurance, department. We, Penny actually pulled the, actuals and actually pulled all of the insurance contracts and took a good look at those to find out when they're due. Are they due spring or fall? Are they due in quarterly payments or is it a one-time, charge, first half of the year or second? So we came up with a good, request for that department. 42,700, and that's a very small discrepancy, $262.
So that's building insurance, right? Or
That's
Everything.
everything.
it's not dental though, it's not your
No.
dental and your
No.
other health.
No,
That's
no. It's HRA,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
HRA admin, it's HRA claims, it's property and casualty, it's
Right.
workers' comp, it's unemployment.
Liability.
It's rec and it's fire.
Yeah,
The volunteer firefighter insurance, I think that
Yes.
covers everything, yeah.
I move we approve the insurance budget as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? 5.
Budget committee? 4.
And recreation. So the personnel on this one, we broke out full-time and seasonal employees. One of the biggest increases here is that Kristen, if you can think back on your previous meetings, she's increased the number of children that we're serving. They're doing an average of 90 children a day for summer camp. Right now, I think she's doing 50 to 60 for ASAP and Kid Zone. They really have increased, but of course with that, Dan was very frugal and I think he did pretty well with very minimum. Kristen, having done child care and child work before, knows that we need one person to every 10 children. I think we were maybe a little more than that previously. So she has staffed up to be compliant and it's for safety as well.
Right.
So you see increases for that, the seasonal employees. They will be hired the last 2 weeks of June. That way they get all their training, their orientation and that sort of thing in before they actually start camp. We have the increases for wages, health insurance, dental insurance. And again, because we have seasonal employees in this department, we have that earned paid leave. Under supplies, increases for enrollment and economic environment demand. So meaning all of the children, I think is what Penny meant, right? We did a separate line for the sale program. I think we took that out of miscellaneous this year.
Right, yeah.
So that's a new line to reflect that. Music, we increased to accommodate the increased number of concerts. We seem to be getting more of your like 4 and 6-person bands, if you will, so it's a little bit more expensive, but Kristen actually does a great job of getting donations that really help to offset the expense of that program. And then pool, we're gonna have that opened. Sunshine Pools out of J will be up to get that open, get all the chemicals done, all that sort of thing. We've already got the not the invoice, but the quote for that. So we did budget the $2,500 for that.
With the increase in services, we also should be able to increase the revenue that goes into offset. that, So,
I think that you will see coming to you fairly soon are some requests for increase in rates, which will help the revenue offset this budget.
Yeah.
Where increases haven't been done for some time yet, just like our permit fees.
Yeah.
So you'll see that coming pretty quickly.
So do we know what the revenue is this year for the?
I think that if you look in your packet, way at the very back, page 43, the very last page, you can see right now we're at 116. No. It's the third column over, my apologies. Third column, just for the 6 months, 36,861. That's for the first 6 months.
Okay.
She's actually right around 121 or 22 right now, year to date. So, and we only budgeted 99.5, so she's over.
Okay.
But her costs reflect the increase in children served for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, you'll see requests for some increases for.
Yeah. Well, you had sale money
or
too this
camp
year.
or whatever, you'll see some requests
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
to help
Get that.
offset those
Yeah.
wages and supplies and all.
Oh, that's a question.
Yes.
Question, it seems to keep coming up that the seasonal employees are part of the explanation for an increase. Were the seasonal employees hired in that same time period last year?
They were not. She may have hired some of them the last week of June. But she's got like 19 or 20
Or
seasonal employees for camp,
was
which we didn't have previously.
I think that was one of the explanations though, in one of the other departments as well. Facilities.
We have the same number of people in facilities. They're just broken out as seasonal instead of included in the full-time wages line.
Right, but I'm curious about the timing. It seems that I can't tell if you're highlighting a timing difference or what the seasonal employee factor
The
is.
seasonal employees for camp will be hired 2 weeks prior to camp opening, so it will be the last 2 weeks of June. Corey will be hiring his part-time people, one person in April and then a person in May or June. So he does have one that he starts earlier, they get ready for mowing and cleaning and all of that, getting ready for the summer season. I think that's Dan that he hires earlier than the others. The others are in school.
I mean. Looking at the bottom line totals, the actual or the expense versus the request of 707,000 total difference to the actuals for the same period last year. And that's a 46% increase.
Yeah, you're looking at the whole budget town-wide and 361,000 plus is debt service. That's our first paving bond payment.
So that gets us down, let's say, to 23, 25.
Right, and we've been going through and explaining the differences in each department.
That's all well and good, but are we gonna see essentially a 25% increase in our taxes? I guess that's a question for the select person.
I think that you will see the mill rate for the 6-month period be less than 1/2 of what you have right now. So you will see a small decrease for your tax bill, January to June.
So what's the total of projected amount to be raised for taxes for the town of Belgrade?
I don't have that right off the top of my head. But it's obviously lower than one half
There's
of the full year.
there's a sheet here that has the projections, and the only thing that goes up is the county and the school, the actual administration goes down.
I'm only talking about Belgrade.
That goes down. The municipal
I
goes
was gonna
down.
say the sheet right on the table, like you did, but I haven't, just.
So that's, to me, that's where the 6 months is in the actuals, is my budget went over for the year last in 24. So you really can't look at actuals for everybody on a yearly budget. That doesn't, to me, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
And you're gonna give people false hope. When you drop their taxes, they're gonna say, well, 6 months I dropped my taxes, and when we go back to them in July, it's gonna be more than double.
Right.
And then you're gonna say it increased 30%. Well, it didn't. If you look at our total budget for the year,
But we
You're
can't
looking
tax
at
out more than
actuals.
what we need.
it's very difficult. I knew it was gonna be going from a 6 month to change it to a fiscal year, but my budget went over by 3 or 4 grand, 24. If you look at my actuals for the first 6 months, we don't buy a lot of things till the end of the year.
Right.
And it's gonna be difficult, but I think you can give people false hope. When you lower their taxes, they're gonna look at it and say, okay, it's 1,500, I'm gonna expect 3 grand, and then you're gonna end with 4 grand. Right. And you're gonna say it increased, well, it really didn't from the full yearly budget, it didn't increase that
That's-
much.
When we
In my
started,
opinion, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I guess the other question is through October, what's the excess of revenue over expenses for the town of Belgrade?
Can you make a note of that?
Yep.
Penny look.
So that's all, I mean, I could be wrong, I just think.
Well, I
No, and with
It's-
revenues, may I say something about revenues, because I've seen some misinformation about the town taking in a ton of revenues and stashing them away in some undesignated reserve account. So the first thing is, a reserve account is an account set up, authorized by the legislative body for a particular purpose. So there's no such thing as an undesignated reserve account. The other point I would like to make is that when the board and the budget committee look at revenues, we can only go by projected revenues. We don't know what actual revenues will be. They may be lower, they may be more. So if they're more, that money falls to undesignated or general fund. And the select board has year after year been pulling money out of undesignated or the general fund to reduce what gets taxed out to our residents, to save them money. It also helps to fund reserve accounts so that we're not taxing for those.
Well, I somewhat disagree. It's like, if I basically, I give $100 bill to pump gas at Christie's, and I pump the gas, and Christie says I needed $100 to pump, and the actual comes in at 80, I don't expect to go into Christie's and hear, you don't get the $20 back. Basically, we have to decide what to do with it next year. So basically, Belgrade has essentially been running through not collecting any taxes until August or September, for years. And basically there's enough cash on hand, obviously, to run things. So now we're accelerating the payment process by 6 months. So that's gonna bring in a lot more cash. And so that's my point, is that money is gonna pile up somewhere.
So if you look at our bank balance, we're 7 million and something, we're spending $1,036,000 a month. So if you look at the fact that we need to cover expenses for the rest of November, December, January, February, March, April, before we bring in tax money. We also have 3 point something million in reserve accounts. So if you pull that 3 point something million off the 7, you have what, 4 million, maybe a little bit more? Is that 4 million gonna take us December, January, February, March, April? No. So we don't have piles of cash sitting around that we're not using and that we're just bringing in and stuffing away in some reserve account.
You basically have, what, $6 or $7 million cash and cash equivalents?
In our checking account,
Yeah, and
that includes reserve accounts.
so how was the town basically able to go through August before property taxes were collected?
It's the way it's always been done, Tom. We collect taxes and then,
No, I understand that.
and then we make it through until we collect again.
We
So
do
we
no
don't
tax
have
anticipation.
celebrated 6 months of payments.
I
Two
don't.
things, Barbara's got a question,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
and I think I gotta wait and answer it,
Okay,
but
so
Barbara
Barbara
first.
first.
We can't hear you.
Unmute Barbara.
Yep, sorry. I just wanted to address the concern about the discrepancy between the underspending in the first half of the year and the higher expenses in the second half of the year, which is our calendar year as it is now. But once we go to a 12-month budget, that will even it out because, we'll have a full 12 months. So we'll have, the first 6 months of the year starting in July will be the heavier expenditures. And the second 6 months, which would be the January through June, would be the lower expenditures. So I don't think that's really a concern. I think that would even things out.
Thank you.
So I think to help answer some of what Tom is into why we're able in the last few years to make it to August until we start collecting some taxes is because of the capital reserves. The capital reserves have been kind of our bank account and they're not supposed to be. So we haven't had to take the TAN. Most years prior to, we've had to take TAN to get us through that from March until we start collecting taxes. And that's usually,
What TAN is for those of us?
I'll let Warren explain it.
It's a tax anticipation note. Think of a HELOC on your home. So you have a pot of money and it's like a line of credit, so, right? But you pay interest on it, of course. You have to pay it all back. It's not free.
Really hard not to use. But if you have.
Right, we do try hard not to.
Well, so regardless, at the end of the calendar year, historically, your balance sheet's been incredibly strong, which is fine. And
It's
you
false.
collected your taxes.
It's
It's
false
false.
because the capital reserves are not supposed to be counted into that, because that's money that's already been appropriated and set aside for each separate account.
And it's almost like what you're collecting in September, you're using that next year. You're not using it in the year in which you're collecting it, in a sense. So you have all of this money at the end of the year, but it's gonna take you a whole nother year.
Gonna take it to August.
Well, I think just to clarify, the 7 million that you say that's in the bank account, 3 million of that is capital reserve.
Yes.
Right.
So really, there's only 4 million, because if if I go buy the trucks that we were saving for, we're up to 900. I'm gonna ask for $1 million, that's gonna come out, and they
Yeah.
can't spend that money.
Right.
Right.
So that's part of it, I don't listen to all of it, but.
Thank you. And to address your concern, Dan, when you said, if we lower our tax bills, we're gonna, I can't remember the word used, but the tax bill is gonna include the school and the county, so it's not gonna decrease the tax bill.
Well,
And
it
no,
doesn't-
what I'm just saying is that,
It's not gonna give them, comfort to whatever you said, I can't remember what you said.
no, but it's just, I'm just saying that your full 1 year tax, and like my budget is gonna be the same or more come July.
Yeah,
I can bring it down right now for 6 months because we're not doing any capital reserves, we're trying to really lower it, things are paid after the July 1st.
but do you understand what I'm
People are gonna
saying?
look at their tax bill and say, hey, it's less than half, that's great. And then when we hit them again in July and it's back to normal or higher, they're gonna go, Well, now my taxes just went up 40%, or it didn't,
And that's,
if you look back in the year.
and that's my fear, I've said this at multiple
That's
meetings
just
for
my-
years. You can't do this, you know, drop and then go up, cause all that does is just wave red flags. That you haven't, you know, makes people think, and you're not, because this is.
I don't think it's a bad thing, I just
Right.
think people need to know that.
Right,
July,
it's
we're
all
gonna get
education.
Full amount plus.
Yeah.
It's all 100% education, you just gotta educate.
We're looking at delta increase of $120,000 to $150,000 next year for our fire department. So,
Or more,
or more.
what I understand is going on.
Yeah, it's going up $75 per capita, up from 30. Been to a couple meetings, so to say that we're gonna be able to reduce our budget, I don't.
To help getting the correct information out, I think is important,
Yeah.
Well,
and not disinformation.
Belgrade municipal taxes for Belgrade increased basically to $2.7 million from $2 million in 2024. So 2025 was a 35% increase in the taxes raised. So.
But we didn't have a larger budget, we only taxed out more of the budget because we didn't have enough money in undesignated to reduce it more. We didn't increase the budget,
And some of that
but
spent.
what? We've been using undesignated funds to reduce what we tax, and we've used undesignated funds to help fund reserve accounts. So we've taken it down to a pretty low level for us. So we're trying not to do that, but we couldn't use as much this year to reduce what we taxed out. So we didn't actually increase the budget. It's just that you all saw more of it. The price went up for you, but the budget didn't increase. Does that make sense?
No, when I look at the annual report and it says the excess of revenue versus actual expenses typically is 600,000 to 800,000 a year.
We don't take in enough revenue other than revenues. I mean, like, if you look at page 42 and 43 in the packet. Excise tax, your fees, your dog fees, your plumbing fees, your building permits, all of that. We don't take in enough with those types of fees to cover a budget. We use those revenues to reduce what we tax out, and then we try to pull some from the undesignated as well. Right, so that what residents see is a smaller amount that they have to pay.
Well, you said that budget number is what you need. You come in favorable to it, and now you're saying that isn't the number?
Well, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I feel like you're trying to say that page 42 and 43 of our revenues is supposed to cover all of our budget, and it doesn't.
Actually, the town annual report lists that you come in favorable every year, so you underspend the departments. People leave, payroll's favorable, whatever. Every year, the departmentals come in favorable. Every year, the revenue comes in favorable to what's budgeted.
From our auditor, in the past 3 years, the fund balance, so our undesignated, the general fund, has only increased once, and that was in 2022. The last 2 years, it has decreased. Excess revenues, the two biggest contributors are interest on reserve accounts and excise taxes.
So you don't expect to come in favorable to this year's budget?
I don't know what you mean by coming favorable.
That we're gonna have extra money going to undesignated fund. We probably will have excess money.
Right.
I mean, you have to budget for everything.
Right.
I mean,
So-
think about the employee.
But you collect taxes based on the budget and you come in favorable.
Right.
And you're now saying that money cannot be given back to the taxpayers.
It
It
is.
is.
It is because
put
we use
somewhere
it to reduce the budget and what
And that-
taxpayers have to pay.
Right, so if we don't do that, your taxes are gonna be even more.
You're gonna see the full amount and then you'll really see a higher.
Just for an example, those,
tax.
the capital reserve used to be all taken out of undesignated fund, that would be money left over from the previous year.
Yes,
Well, I remember the town meeting when we put $500, $1,000, everybody said we gotta reduce that undesignated fund, we gotta reduce it. I'm big on the budget committee, or I'm one sitting here, but. And remember, we spent 500,000, we spent this, we spent that, we reduced our undesignated fund, well, the next year, we didn't have enough to do our capital reserves. We only did what, half of it?
Half,
And so then we had to
had
raise and
half.
appropriate the other half instead of doing the full amount.
Yes.
And I think that's where the difference in the tax.
But you'll see any extra money that falls to undesignated the next year for the budget. The select board will take a look at that and they'll take a pretty good portion and they'll reduce the budget amount that goes out to taxpayers. So you see a lower bill. They do that every year. We're not squirreling money away.
And we also take so the budget committee sits down and we take 95%.
98, I think.
98 we did this year, we went 98% of the actuals is what we budgeted for the revenues to use. So
Right.
whatever we showed for actuals this year, we budgeted 98% for the 2026 budget, 6-month budget, excuse me.
So I'm not on any of these committees, but I wanna explain to you what I think is going on, and I'd like to know if my understanding is correct. Okay, so you have a house, let's use a simple example. You have a house and you have an emergency saving account and you have your budget. If you pull your budget for your house, it's gonna say in versus out, but it doesn't necessarily reflect your emergency savings account. So if you use your emergency account to fix your roof, because you need $20,000 that you didn't expect, that's not gonna necessarily show up on your in versus your out, but that's money that you've depleted, that you need to put back in order for there to be a healthy financial situation. So if your disagreement is with how much we are maintaining in terms of a reserve so that our town can withstand issues and deal with problems that come up, I feel like that's a different conversation than looking at each line item and saying this needs to be reduced or that should be changed. I personally probably have a different philosophy from you. I don't like taking out debt to pay for stuff. And so I have a pretty big emergency savings house at my home. And I budget every month for all of those bills because I don't want to use a line of credit and pay interest on it when something happens. And so I appreciate that the town is trying to set aside the money we need to deal with stuff that comes up so that we don't have an emergency where every taxpayer has to pay an extra $500 that year because something catastrophic happened and we didn't have any money. So I guess I'm trying to understand what your qualm is with. Is it because you think we shouldn't have as much money set aside for an emergency? Or does that make sense? Because in the arbitrary context, it's hard to understand, but I think really what's happening is the town is saying our understanding of best practices is to have this much set aside. And so we need to tax in order to cover our budget and have money set aside for the things that we know are coming down the road. That's
My point is, on a cash basis, essentially for 2024, for example, the town said it needed a net of $2 million. So that was revenue plus expenses. The actual that was needed was 1.2 million. That's a difference of 800,000.
so then I think the question is where did that 800,000 come from? And my understanding from the explanations is that they're using money that has already been set aside to cover the difference. And so the taxpayers aren't feeling that hit because they're using money to set it as to cover it. Am I understanding that correctly?
If you look at this sheet, Tom, it said this from the auditor. It says budgeted expenditures, actual expenditures, and then over under. So in 2022, the over under, we were over 494. In 23, we were over 364. Last year, we were only over 292. So that was anything left over from the budget. Some of that, like recreation, fire, those go to reserve account.
Correct.
If they have anything left over in their budget. So the biggest thing was revenues, but as you can see, the explanation from our auditor, the two biggest contributors are interest on the reserve accounts because the interest rates were favorable. And then excise taxes. And we don't always know what we're gonna have for excise taxes. We can only project. This year we've had it pretty good because Hammond Lumber bought out a bunch of other businesses and they've been, they have been doing a lot of vehicles. And so that increases, that artificially inflates that line in a sense, right? But we can only project. I mean, like this year, the board decided to do 98% of revenues for budget for 2026 for that 6 months. We're not purposefully saying we're gonna bring in a million extra dollars, ha ha ha, taxpayers. We're not doing that. We're doing the best we can with what we have in front of us. And if there's extra that goes to undesignated, the board is 9 times out of 10 taking a large portion of that money the next year, and they're using it to reduce the budget, what we tax out, to save our taxpayers that money. It's not being left in an account.
So it essentially is getting returned. It's
It
just,
is.
it's returned in the form of a lower tax bill the next year.
You are correct.
Right.
Once again, the tax bill
Just-
went up 35%.
It's because we allocated to general fund, that's a year before, that's why it went up.
Actually,
We
the
had,
year
we had,
before it went up 5%.
we had to increase,
Because
we had to raise and appropriate more money from tax dollars to offset the budget, because we overspent the general, the undesignated
Yeah.
the year before.
Well, get voted on the town floor to
Right.
spend the money,
Right,
Right.
yeah,
and I thought it was wrong when they did it.
we all like, thought it was wrong. No, we had one person that didn't know what they were wrong.
We also, by law, have to keep so much in reserves to pay our school budget. And you also have that tax anticipation note available. But you're doing your best not to use it, because if we don't use it, we don't have to pay the interest. So,
So not only that, the interest, excess of interest that we got last year, that doesn't go into the general fund, that goes straight to the reserve accounts that you get the interest off to.
We're supposed to.
So.
So,
And
How
the
about
tax
if we-
anticipation note, there is a due date on that, so that runs out.
December.
December 31st.
Yes. No, it's before December 31st.
Before December
Yeah.
31st, so that money will no longer be available.
so, but we haven't used it, and so
We
that,
haven't used it so
that's a
far.
lot of interest money that we're gonna have to spend.
Were there any other questions on recreation?
I just wanted to point out that everything is more expensive. Like every single thing we purchase is more expensive, and so. I understand wanting to be careful, but we also need to anticipate that things are, at the town, they're gonna cost more to operate. And so it's a matter of figuring that out.
Kathy wants to speak. Kathy, Kathy, go ahead.
Well, I'm a little confused by what I just heard. I have looked at all your audited statements going back to 2021. And while there was one year, I think that's 2022 or 3, when there was $1 million plus or minus that was budgeted to come out of the unrestricted and go into the regular and go into cover expenses, that did not occur. Although it showed in the budget, it did not show in the actuals. So I don't understand why I'm hearing you say that every year you look at what you have collected that was above revenues and use that to reduce taxes, because I have not seen that in the audited statements, and I have not seen it in my tax bill either. That's just my comment.
If you look, I think it's actually a warrant article.
There's a warrant article for.
There's usually a warrant article every year at town meeting, Kathy, that authorizes the select board to pull money from the undesignated account to reduce taxes, or to pull money from undesignated to fund reserve accounts.
And we pulled it from undesignated to fund reserve accounts, 392,000,
In what year?
last year.
Last year, we pulled 392,000.
Oh, wait a sec, 396, yeah, 396 from.
396,000 in 2025 to help fund reserve accounts, and we ended up taxing out 396,000 because we didn't have enough. The board didn't feel they wanted to pull all of that from undesignated. So we ended up taxing half of those reserve accounts, which is very unusual. That's the first time they've done that since I've been here. But usually they do pull money every year from undesignated, and it's approved with a warrant article at town meeting to do that.
I did see money go from one one account to another account, but I did not see anything coming out of undesignated and going back to taxpayers or going to shortfalls. I haven't seen that. Now,
It
I'm
doesn't
only
go-
looking at your audited statements. I'm not looking at your general ledger numbers, just what I see on the year-end audits.
That money doesn't actually go to taxpayers. It goes toward the budget to reduce what we tax out to taxpayers. Does that make sense?
It doesn't go, it goes to reduce, I haven't seen my taxes reduced in the last
No.
5 or 6 years.
No, you haven't seen them gone up as much either. So say we need,
My taxes have gone up by something, my taxes have gone up by more than 10% every year over the past 10 years.
I'm just gonna give you an arbitrary number. If we need $10 million,
I can't see who's talking. Okay, there you go.
It's Dan.
if you need $10 million and we have $2 million sitting in these reserve accounts or undesignated funds, what we do is we use that and reduce the request to $8 million. So if we hadn't done the request, it would be asking the taxpayers for the total full $10 million and leaving the other $2 million where it is in a savings account. It's really what it amounts to.
I'm just not seeing it in the audited statements, that's all.
Well,
What I see in the audited statements is a collection, and it is that revenues, what you collect exceeds what you spend every year to the tune of $500,000 to $800,000 over the past 5 years. That's what I see. Now I'm looking at, I know I've heard a lot of talk about timing issues, meaning that you, like every business, there are times when cash is short, which is why a lot of businesses have operating lines of credit to cover those cash shortfall months. They take the money out and they draw their line up and then they pay it down when the revenues come in. But I am seeing in your audited statements every year, 500,000 to 800,000 excess revenues over expenses, and I don't know how to, and so far I haven't heard an explanation that makes me comfortable with that. I'd love to hear one, but I haven't heard one. I hear you saying, well, we don't know what the future is going to be. We're doing the best we can with the budget, which is true of writing any budget anywhere, anytime. But I don't understand why your audited statements show every year you take in $500,000 to $800,000 more than you spend. I understand that the financial statement is a snapshot of one day in time, but it is a snapshot of revenues versus expenses that is accepted sort of everywhere as an overview of how a business or a town is doing financially. I'd love to hear an explanation for where I'm wrong, but I haven't heard that yet.
Penny's going to check with our auditor and see if she can get you a specific answer, Kathy.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? My audio.
Penny, our treasurer is going to check with our auditor, Jen, and see if she can get a specific answer for you.
Okay, well, if you're then,
Thank you very much.
if your auditor's producing year-end statements that are incorrect in some way, that would be nice to know also.
Yeah, I don't think she is, but we'll check with her, okay? Thank
Okay, I
you.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to point out 2 things. First, I think the information you're looking for, I saw Mary referencing the annual report for the town. So it seems to me like that information is available to all residents in the annual report, and it's not something that's hidden, just to put that out there. And then I think when we say $500,000, that sounds like a lot of money, but I think that if you consider it as a portion of the budget, a percentage of the budget, $500,000 is not nearly as shocking as it sounds when you say that out loud. So I just think if you're gonna use numbers, it's important to keep them in context.
Well, in con-
That is my 2 cents.
in context of the Belgrade tax amount, that would be 500,000 of $2 million net, or 2.7 million net is a huge percentage.
I don't understand what you're saying, cause the actual revenues for the town. are
That's inflated for
But
collecting taxes
I
for the
apologize.
school and.
I did not mean to derail us further.
That's all right. I think we're ready to move on.
Where were
We're
we?
on recreation,
Budget.
so were there any other questions on that department?
Oh,
Okay,
Do these numbers reflect an increase in headcount?
yes,
How much?
okay.
we've got 90 students.
No, I mean, for full-time town employees,
We have one full-time director, one full-time assistant director. We have 3 part-time who work year-round, up to 34 hours a week total. And then we have 19 to 20 camp counselors and employees who cover sales camp and
well,
summer camp at 40 hours a week.
do we have a headcount totals for the town?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Do you want a total number of
Full and
employees?
part-time employees for the town of Belgrade.
We're between 25 and 50 full and part-time and seasonal.
And how much was it? Is that an increase over the prior year?
We will see a small increase, yes, because we have more people in recreation. And we're fully complemented here. Corey has budget for 3 part-time, 2 full-time, 1 permanent part-time. I think this year he only had 2. No, he had another one. So he did have everybody working this year as well. Yeah. Kenny's fully complemented. The library, we were down a little bit, but we're back staffed. We'll be down again. We're losing 1. That position will be replaced. So a few discrepancies here and there throughout the year. But we're getting back to being fully comprehensive, yes. And we will see a little bit of an increase because of recreation.
So I think what Tom's asking is that he'd like clarification on how many employees are we gonna add 2026? That's what he's asking.
There should be no additional between what we have this year and next year.
So we're not increasing any in rec.
There are increases on the record, I thought.
Well, we did have them this summer. The bulk of their pay is the second half of the year, not the first half.
But you're just talking that we're adding more kids, so.
We did add
more people. to
We
cover.
added more kids this year.
Right, so you
But
add
first,
more people to cover.
We've added more people.
I think I
But they've added those people in 2025, not in 2026.
I don't think those people have been added yet.
No, I don't think so either.
Didn't Kristen add
No.
more people for the ASAP program?
No voice so.
No,
No, okay.
It's been requested to add more for 2026. So I think that's what Tom's getting at. He wants to, and he's asked this question once before. That's why I'm kind of being.
I thought we did better on this budget packet by illustrating under the personnel section of each department how many full and part-time or seasonal employees there were. So if you were able to pull this, Tom, and look at it, then that did give you a good idea.
If you go to the Kennebec County presentation on their budget, they break out their full and part-time employees by department by year. So you can see where they're increasing their headcount. There's no summary for.
Okay, I'm sorry we didn't do it like Kennebec County, but
Every
we'll take a look at that and see about updating our methods. That's a good suggestion. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, we already made a motion.
I thought I did. I move we accept the recreation budget as presented. Second.
All right, all those in favor? 5-4.
Budget committee. 4-4. Can I make a kind of a comment or recommendation that we try to get them numbers for either the next, not just select board meeting, the next select board meeting. So the public can have them numbers for how many full-time and part-time employees.
Over the course of how many years?
For the, what's gonna be figured for the
2026, you wanna know how many full and
I'd
part-time?
like to know 25 and then
And then
26
26.
just to show that any increases.
That's
Okay,
that's what you're looking for right now.
we just want some,
Yes.
Yeah.
all right, library, fairly small discrepancy there, mostly, or I should say all. Under the wages line, we had open positions this year. Again, we'll have another open position next month, December. That also includes the 3% wage increase, the health and dental increases. For Jared's department.
Questions on that one? No? Carol?
I move we approve the library budget as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? 5.
Budget committee. 4-4.
All right. Social services, this covers senior resources, our general assistance. I think that's it, and there's one more. What's the other one? That covers the sheriff's Memorial Day. The senior resources committee activities, which they do more in the second half of the year. And then, yes, it was just general assistance, so we always budget some, and of course. If we have any applicants that were successful that we can help them, we get 70% reimbursement for GA through the state, so. We haven't had we've had applicants, but they don't qualify. I would like to say, just totally off topic, but as part of this. We've been able to help 2 families in the last 30 days out of our emergency fuel fund. So. Very, very exciting.
Is that gonna be reimbursed by the state or is
The
that?
emergency fuel fund is funded by donors, donations, and then I think it originated maybe with some money from the town, Aaron? The emergency.
Certain group of citizens that
Okay.
came forward.
What
So
about
the-
LIHEAP?
People do apply for LIHEAP, but that doesn't really have anything to do
It doesn't go through
with
the
us.
town.
No, we have a separate, the town has its own separate emergency fuel fund, so if someone applies for general assistance and they don't qualify. Then we are able to take a look at their application to see if they meet the requirements. To be able to get help from us through that emergency fuel fund. So in the last 30 days, we've done 2 families.
Questions?
I move we approve the social services budget as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? 5-4.
Budget committee. 4-4.
Right. Dams, that one is down quite a bit. They had more repairs, and maintenance they had to do this year. So we were at 46,127 this year. They're requesting the first half of the year 98,95, and they will put in another request for the June town meeting for that full fiscal year budget of another 98,95 to meet their needs, our portion that will be due.
I move we approve the dams budget as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? 5-4.
Budget committee. 4-4.
All right, debt service, this one is higher. Because we have our road bond due, the first installment plus interest, so that's a large portion. Well, yeah, just more than half of what the overall expense versus request is, for this 6 months.
On that.
I move we approve the debt service budget as presented.
Second.
Favor. 5-4. Budget committee? 4-4?
That should do it.
Okay.
Carol, do you want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn at 7:57.
Second.
All those in favor? 2, 3, 4.
Woohoo! Home by 8 almost.
I'm Tony Bruno.